After the destruction of civilization, people gradually lose the ability to communicate and degrade to the level of animals. A harmless guy has to confront a gang of cannibals to save his sister. The movie begins with the credits. At first, people fed on the dead, but by year 10, they started hunting each other as cannibalism became the only way to survive. The plot takes us to a forest where two characters, a grown man and a boy, are cautiously making their way through. When they spot a defenseless boar, they come within shooting distance. The boy takes out a bow, draws the bowstring, then passes the weapon to his companion, who aims and releases an arrow. Having shot the beast, they follow the bloody trail, but it is lost in the dried-up lake, where only the fish, which has been thrown on land, give signs of life. Left with nothing, the hunters head back. In the forest, they come across two abandoned cars blocked by fallen trees. A man and a boy search the cars for anything useful. The adult discovers cigarette butts, as tobacco is now a rarity. The boy secretly finds a pack of cookies and eagerly eats them. In the rearview mirror, the boy notices the approaching companion and accidentally presses the klaxon. The loud sound attracts the attention of wild animals. The hunters hide in the car in a hurry, laying low until hungry stray dogs scurry away in search of new prey. Later, the travelers continue their journey, where the boy disposes of the evidence by throwing away a cookie wrapper. They reach a cabin tucked away in the woods, hidden under branches. Inside, they are greeted by a sick girl with an infected wound on her stomach. A man filters water through a makeshift device. There is enough water for 2 mugs. They give the girl 1 pill from their modest supplies. The man then rolls a self-curling cigarette from the cigarette butts he has found and smokes it on the porch. In the morning, the boy wakes up before the others and heads to a makeshift toilet in the thicket. During the natural process, he notices something that speeds it up dramatically: people approaching. In fear, he rushes back into the hut, hides the entrance, and observes the strangers through the gap. The man wakes up, quickly assesses the situation, and begins packing. Taking the injured girl with him, they leave through the back door. While the strangers penetrate into the cabin, the trio, accidentally dropping the bag with supplies, makes their way to the toilet, where the man hides the boy and the girl. He then distracts his opponents by getting into a fight with them. Although he injures one, the numerical advantage does its job. The man is stabbed several times. The leader of the gang, having killed the man, gives orders to search the area for loot, and himself examines the bag left behind. The marauders then stack the corpse on a stick to carry away as provisions. Before leaving, the ringleader notices a hidden toilet. He tries to lift the lid, but the boy and girl hold it from the inside. Finding nothing of interest and catching only a foul odor, he loses interest and leaves. Back in the ransacked cabin, the boy notices a cookie wrapper. It was he who helped the cannibals get on their trail. After putting the girl to rest, he notices that her wound has begun to fester, and the last pill has been taken by the ringleader. Wanting to put her out of her misery, the boy's about to smother her with a pillow, but doesn't dare. He wraps homemade cords around his feet, takes a photograph of his dead father, and sets off on the trail of the killers. Wandering for a long time among the ruined landscapes, he freezes and finally collapses from exhaustion by the river. Lying on the ground, he notices a small boy nearby and follows him. The frightened child leads him to the old house where he lives with his grandfather. The boy kicks the door with his foot and, taking advantage of the fear of the inhabitants, takes away their pants, shoes, and takes off the old man's jacket. Leaving his hiding place, he rejoins a bloody trail that leads him to a smoldering bonfire. Among the ashes lie human remains, a hand and a skull. Feeling disgusted, the boy burps and then decides to bury his father's skull. Afterwards, he climbs a tree to survey the surroundings. In the distance, smoke can be seen, the trail of another cannibal camp. However, at that moment, he loses his balance, falls, and is badly bruised. Dogs bark in the forest, attracting the attention of the cannibals, who are resting by the fire and bandaging the wounded man. The boy crawls to the fire, hoping to start a fire from a tiny spark. In the darkness, he furiously waves a burning branch to ward off approaching predators. At first light, he continues on his way and soon comes across a remnant of the old world, an abandoned camping tent. Cautiously approaching, he finds a dried corpse inside and a backpack filled with prey. Among the items, he finds matches, a miniature folding knife, and a whistle. The sudden crunch of a branch makes him alert. A small boy is standing behind the tent, watching him intently. When their gazes meet, the child runs away frightened. Chasing after him, the boy notices the water in the stream taking on a bloody hue. A little upstream, a cannibal woman is washing her knives. He picks up a heavy stone, preparing for a possible collision, and cautiously follows her. When he reaches the camp, he waits for a moment for her to leave, and then sneaks inside unnoticed, stepping over a stretched signal rope with a bell. There may be medicine in the ogre's belongings. In the reflection of the mirror, he notices his mistress approaching with an axe. Dodging the blow, the boy is forced to defend himself. Finding a stone lying around, he strikes the woman sharply on the head with it. While she is bleeding and trying to realize what is happening, the boy climbs into the trailer in search of medical supplies. Noticing through the window that the cannibals are returning, he hastily covers his tracks, wipes off the blood, and hides the bloody rock in his bag. Then, dragging the body of the murdered woman behind him, he accidentally drops an axe, a clue to his pursuers. Lying and hiding behind a tree, he witnesses the gang capture a new prisoner, the same boy who had been following him earlier. The ringleader gives the captive pills and then locks them in a chest. When the ringleader goes to the creek to search for his missing partner, the others prepare for a feast. But one of the cannibals, who has stepped aside, notices a dropped axe. Suspecting something wrong, the cannibals begin to comb the area. The boy hides behind a tree and, after waiting for them to leave, covers the body of the murdered woman with dry leaves, hiding it from view. Then he sneaks back to the camp and, looking into the hole, comes across a mountain of human bones, the remains of the victims, of which there were many. As the wounded cannibal lies down to rest, the boy cautiously crawls up to the bound captive and begins to cut the ropes with his knife. The freed child begins to scream, attracting attention. Annoyed by the noise, the wounded cannibal comes out of the house just as the boy escapes. While the cannibals are distracted, the boy reaches the medicine chest but cannot open the lock. Even a series of leg kicks doesn't help. When the gang returns, he hides under a trailer. Upon learning of the prisoner's escape, the ringleader is angry and beats the wounded man. Soon they find the body of their accomplice. Additionally, they are alerted by dirt on the trunk, indicating a stranger. In the evening, the gang holds a farewell ceremony, burning the woman's corpse. Despite their devotion to human meat, they do not eat it, following their strange beliefs. At this time, the boy notices that the key to the chest is hanging around the ringleader's neck. After spending the night under the trailer, in the morning he remembers the matches he found. Sneaking inside the house, he quietly lights them in total darkness, surrounded by sleeping cannibals. Instead of starting a fire, he carefully makes his way to the ringleader. Freezing over him, he pulls out a knife and merely cuts the key. Once outside, he opens the chest. Spotting a bag of medicine, he starts looking for the right drugs. Finding the right pills, he is about to leave, but he hatches a plan to lock the cannibals in the trailer to buy time. While carrying out his plan, he snags a signal rope, raising the alarm. The bandits kick down the door with fury and rush in pursuit. Using the head start he has gained, the boy runs as hard as he can. The pursuers doggedly chase after him, but the wounded cannibal is exhausted. The leader, who does not tolerate weaklings, kicks him to the ground and, stepping on his neck, breaks it. The other cannibals continue their pursuit. One of them catches up with the fugitive and knocks him to the ground, but the boy rolls over, gets up again, and rushes on. The chase continues until he slips down a steep slope and falls into a gorge. The cannibals do not dare to repeat the jump, limiting themselves to a shot from the bow, but the arrow only whistles past the target. While the pursuers were carefully descending, the boy managed to climb to the other side of the gorge. Escaping from the pursuit, he reaches the house of the boy and his grandfather. But inside, a gruesome sight awaits him. Behind the broken door, right on the floor, lies the mutilated body of the old man. Stunned by what he sees and racked with guilt, the boy goes outside, where he is immediately overtaken by the cannibals, knocking him out with a precise blow. When he wakes up, he finds himself bound hand and foot in the cannibal camp, where a fire has already been built for dinner. Trying to free himself, he notices a folding knife nearby and crawls towards it. But the ringleader notices this, throwing the knife away with a kick. Then, with obvious pleasure, the bastard burns a picture of the father of the guy he himself killed a few days ago. Taking advantage of the fact that the bandits are engrossed in sharpening their knives and not paying attention to him, the boy crawls to the whistle. With his mouth barely free, he grabs it and blows as hard as he can. A shrill sound echoes over the forest, to the point of hitting his ribs, silencing him. However, the signal manages to attract a pack of dogs who rush towards the camp with loud barks. Having assessed the situation, the cannibals choose the strategic option of escape, leaving the captive in place. When the cannibals hide, the kid gets to the knife and frees himself, after which he hides behind a fallen tree. His plan works. The predators rush after their fleeing targets, ignoring the lurking boy. After waiting for the dogs to scatter, he gathers up his scattered belongings, including medicine. Meanwhile, one of the ogres stumbles, twisting her leg. The ringleader, running last, realizes that the key now is to be faster than the slowest victim. Without hesitation, he stabs his companion with a knife, condemning her to certain death. Having made sure that she is left to the pack's mercy, the other ogres turn their attention back to the boy. They rush after him. Tripping over a root, the fugitive falls and decides to take a break. One of the pursuers sneaks up behind him, but falls into a trap. Leaving his jacket on the ground, the kid jumps on the enemy from above. A fight ensues, in which the cannibal makes a successful throw, and being behind him, takes him in a chokehold. At that moment, another bandit notices his comrade dragging his prey and approaches to help. But this too is a trap. Taking possession of his opponent's knife, the kid delivers the fatal blow. Having taken possession of a bow, the boy meets the ringleader, launching an arrow directly into his leg. But he fails to finish the enemy. The bowstring breaks. Realizing that he still has a chance in hand-to-hand combat, the wounded leader rises. But then nature itself intervenes. Somewhere nearby, you can hear dogs howling. The kid immediately turns around and runs away, leaving his opponent as a victim. He tries to follow him, but to no avail. While looking for a way home, the kid finds a cartridge in the woods and then goes out to a house that looks inhabited. On the porch, he notices a mummified body with a revolver. Taking the weapon, he goes inside. The house turns out to be well kept. There are food supplies, ammunition, and most importantly, a working water supply. While he quenches his thirst and fills his backpack with canned goods, the surviving leader enters the house. While he looks around, the kid grabs an automatic rifle and points it at the enemy. But his attempt to shoot fails. The weapon jams. The cannibal immediately goes on the attack, easily knocking down his less experienced opponent. The fight ends with the cannibal knocking the boy down and trying to strangle him. At the last second, the boy presses his fingers into the arrow wound, forcing his opponent to loosen his grip. Seizing the moment, he grabs a revolver and cold-bloodedly fires a bullet into the ringleader's head. On the way back to the house, the boy leaves several cans of canned food at the boy's dwelling, hoping that he is still alive. But on reaching his hut, he sees the door open. Realizing that perhaps all this struggle has been in vain, he sits down on the ground in utter despair. At that moment, a girl approaches him from behind and puts her hand on his shoulder. At this intriguing moment, the story ends.